Hey everybody, Ronan here, coming to you again live from a hotel in Singapore. I've just had a back-to-back day here in Singapore. I've just come back in and it's warm out there. Anyway, I just thought I'd jump straight on before I go on another call, and I want to talk a little bit about an in-betweeny phone session that I had back to Sydney on Sunday. In between is where, I work with clients monthly usually, but the channels are open anytime I work with them, and sometimes people need help in between, which is fine, and we did one of those calls on Sunday. And it was for a business owner who is hugely talented and very successful in her field. She knows what she's doing, both as in her craft and also as a business owner, running a business in her craft. So she had a bit of a meltdown, a technological meltdown that was out of her control in terms of the technology wasn't hers. It was being hosted elsewhere and it just stopped working, and the stuff hit the fan recently for her. So she kind of had a response to that, which was high stress, as any of us would. Given the situation. There's nobody I know. I sent a newsletter out about this last night to everybody on my list, and what I said in that was there's nobody I know who would take that sort of problem in their business with zero emotion, because it was genuinely that bad, that serious. But the way to deal with it, on the call, and it got me thinking about something that I've done with others in the past. It's where we look at creating basically a panic button. Okay, but it's a panic button in the sense that it's the opposite of a normal panic button. A normal panic button, you press it and alarms go off. This one, you press it and everything calms down. So what it is the amygdala back here, the old hind part of the brain. When you go into severe emotional response or stress, the amygdala lights. If you're on an MRI and you're having an MRI when you're in fight-flight response, for example, fight-flight is anger and fear, fight is anger, flight is fear. If you did an MRI in that situation, the amygdala would light up, which is the hind part of your brain, which is the oldest part of the brain. And I'm keeping things a bit simple here. If that part of the brain is in operation, then other parts of the brain are not. So your logical part of the brain, or your prefrontal cortex, which is like the executive center of your brain, they're not active in that state. So if the amygdala, if the fight-flight center gets activated, well, one way to deal with it is give it a simple response to deal with. So the way to do it is create a fork in the road. So a fork in the road is you've got two choices. You can go this way or you can go this way. And you create it at the top level of a problem. So no matter what the problem is, instead of getting triggered and going into automatic, whether it's meltdown, whether it's stress, whatever it is, you simply ask this question. Is it emotional or is it numbers? So logic or emotion? So this is especially for business owners and executives. Everything's going to be one of those two directions, like literally everything. So there might be an emotional response going on, but in the moment, if you just say, can I go down numbers route or can I go down emotional route? Then what you're doing is you're giving yourself a choice, but you're the one controlling it. So you can say, in business, most things can be rectified through numbers, even a meltdown like the one that we dealt with on the phone, whereby, what do I mean by numbers? Well, it's, okay, X happens, so therefore what can we do on the numbers route to fix the problem, rectify it, and even profit from it, or transform because of it. And when you go down the numbers route, it just causes the brain to think differently. You automatically go, okay, well, on the logical side, it was a technological issue. If we do A, B, C, and D, then we can address this. But what other strategies can I use on the numerical side or on the logical side that can work better? even better than the way I was going to do it in the first place. Because very often, it's these problems that actually create a revelation in a business. It's very often when something goes really badly wrong that we find a new way to do things. And we actually found that on the phone last night. So that was the numbers route that we did on the phone. And my client after that call, and I hope she will say this still today, is in a completely different place because of it, and actually very optimistic. If you choose the emotion side, that's the other fork. And then at least you say, okay, well, this is an emotional issue and I'm going to go down the emotional path and I'm going to deal with the emotion. But the cool thing with this is that you've played a beautiful trick on your brain just by doing the process. And the trick is this, is that you're going into emotion, but you're going in through emotion through a logical choice, through a logical channel. That means you're choosing to go into emotion. And by doing that, you have just smuggled in choice into your brain. You've broken the pattern of just going into an emotion without thinking. It's very subtle, and I'm not sure I even fully got it myself the first couple of times I did it. It just kind of happened upon this. But it is so powerful because you can choose to go an emotional route, and in choosing to go there, you can feel the emotion without having the residue, without really having, you can feel, I guess, being upset without really having that upset feeling control you. So there are times when these emotions are justified, right? So this isn't about, oh, let's be robots, go down the logic route. No, emotions are perfectly justifiable entities, and if you can control them, which you can, through a very simple process by what I call fork in the road approach, I'm going to go numbers or I'm going to go emotion. The fact that you've just made the choice is the key. So I call that a meta position. Meta is kind of like overview or overarching. So for everything in business, and quite a few of my clients now are doing this, whatever happens, they enter at that fork and they go, am I going to go down the numbers route or the emotion route on this issue? That, if that's an entry point, then the person is, then your brain, you're controlling yourself from the beginning, and it's very powerful. It just keeps you in control of things, especially at times when things might be spinning out of control, as sometimes happens with all businesses. So that meta position is, to me, I've had a lot of feedback on this recently, and people have just said it's changed your business. So if someone is stressed over a business or a revenue, they just go, okay, well, I want to make $100 or a zillion bucks, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And then you go, okay, if someone's emotional on that and they don't know how to do it, oh, how do I do it? Oh, I'm worried, I'm fearful. Go down the logical route and go, well, convert that, for example, convert that into service, convert that into products. And then you just reverse engineer all the way back from there. Okay, well, if that's the service, what do I need to do to produce that amount of service? How many people do I need to talk to produce that amount of possibility, etc. So when things go into meltdown, if you look like you're going into meltdown, put a fork in the road that goes numbers or emotion, and make a decision consciously as to which one you're going to pick, and then pick it. Even if it is emotion, still pick it. If the same kind of emotion comes up all the time, keeps coming up, there are ways to let go of that. I don't know if I do it on a Facebook Live, but maybe we could do it on a video sometime. And either way, until then, I hope that helps. And until next time, all the best.